Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video preview for Game of Thrones Season 4, letting you guys know what you can expect from the channel and why it's not my favorite television series. Alright, great. So this Sunday, April 6, 2014, Game of Thrones will be returning. We will see the premiere of Season 4. Very exciting. Now, I said it's not my favorite series on television. It's actually my second favorite right now. So don't get me wrong. I think the show is fantastic. I love the series. Now that Breaking Bad's over for me personally, it takes the number 2 slot. And people have asked me in my channel, a lot of newer subscribers and stuff to the channel since last year, if I'll be reviewing Game of Thrones. And the answer is yes, of course. I've been reviewing it for the last 2 years straight since the beginning of Season 2. I started reviewing the premiere for Game of Thrones, and I've been reviewing it ever since. I didn't review the first season because at that time I hadn't heard about the show yet, or the books, and then, before the second season started, I heard about them. I checked them out, loved it, watched the first season beginning to end, like within a day. Loved it. Couldn't wait for the second season and started reviewing at that point. So that doesn't change. I'm going to be reviewing all of Season 4 episode by episode every week all the way through, and probably the rest of the series until it eventually does end, maybe around 7 to 10 seasons, however long we get out of it. Maybe with a movie at the end. There's some rumors of that. We'll see what happens with that. So that said, love the series. Don't get me wrong. Now, there's some things about it that I don't like so much. The biggest thing is people ask me, are you going to do predictions videos, stuff like this, like you do for The Walking Dead? And The Walking Dead TV series. For this series, it doesn't make sense. Now, what I mean by that is that predictions videos for The Walking Dead was a concept that I personally came up with. I kind of thought it up years ago, which is because a lot of people want to kind of discuss what they think is going to happen next. So it was something that I created myself, came up with the idea to do for the channel, to do videos. I was doing mixed martial arts predictions for fights and who I think would win a mixed martial arts fight. So I had an idea. Why don't I predict what I think is going to happen next for Walking Dead episodes? Who's going to die next? All these kinds of things. Came up with all these topics for it, death predictions and all these other stuff that I came up with on my own. Now, that makes sense for that series because we really don't know what's going to happen. It's based off the comic book series, but it doesn't always follow the comic book series to a T. You have character deaths at completely different times. Some characters are still alive that died in the comic book series, or vice versa. Some characters are still alive in the comic book series that are now dead in the TV series. So it really is fun to try to guess, what's going to happen next, because even though we know a lot about the show, we don't know for sure. We really don't know for sure. Now, the reason why Game of Thrones is not my favorite, or I don't do any kind of predictions videos for it or that kind of stuff, is because we already know what's going to happen, And I can't say it doesn't take away from the series. When The Walking Dead first started, I remember a lot of people were upset because they found out that the TV series was going to be different from the comic book series, okay? Different things were going to happen. It was going to go its own path. And a lot of people were pissed off. They're like, no, I want it just the same as the comic books. I want it exactly the same. I don't want you to change it. I want it exactly the same and just do it in a TV series form, which is what Game of Thrones is. There are very small differences between the Game of Thrones books from George R.R. Martin, and the actual television series itself. Now, there are differences, okay? If you want to be technical, yes, there are differences. But the differences compared to the type of differences that I'm talking about are very small. I'm talking extremely small. You do not have, for example, in The Walking Dead, you may have a character like the equivalent, let's say, Robb Stark, live versus him dying in the books and have a completely different, series as a result of that. You may have similar type of battles, but you could have different people win, different people lose, different people die to keep your audience guessing so they don't know what's going to happen next. With Game of Thrones, we do not get that. We know exactly what's going to happen if you've read the books. We know step by step who's going to die, when they're going to die, where they're going to go, what's going to happen, who's going to say what. It's almost exact. I mean, yes, like I said, people that love series, they're going to correct all day and night about start listing all the differences in the comments. If you do that, you're not getting the message of what I'm saying. You're not understanding the point that I'm trying to get across to you, which is that the overall scheme of the series, the overall important events are all exactly the same. And that detracts from the suspense, the excitement, and the feeling. Now, that said, it is still a lot of fun to watch, similar to how anime is fun to watch if you've already read a manga, right? You know the events that are going to happen, but it's cool to see it fleshed out in, by actors in, real life type scenes, and getting to visually see it all play out with the music and everything. It's a great method to really capture the essence of the story, right? Which happens in anime too as well, which is cool to see. So it's still fun to see, and that's why it's my second favorite series. But I wouldn't do prediction videos for it, and because I can tell you everything that's going to happen. I can tell you step by step what I know is going to happen next. Who's going to die next? I'll tell you if you really want to know. There's no question about it, and as a result, there's no suspense, there's no wondering, there's no excitement really. Well, there is some to know like some of the events that are going to come up, but it's hard for me to even talk about what's going to happen without just spoiling everything, without just saying, oh, this is going to happen, and then there's the wedding, and then this happens, and blah, blah. It's so like a slip of the tongue like that, boom, and I just ruined it for somebody out there. So that's also not what I like to do. I like to predict things that I don't know for sure based on some, educated guesses, things like this, and my experience with a book or with a series, versus, with this type of situation where if you've read the books, step by step everything that's going to happen. So, that's unfortunate. I really wish what they would have done with Game of Thrones is take a similar approach, which is to, the books are there. If you want to know that story, read the books. The TV series should be its own entity, and I believe they should have done it differently from the books. Now, it's an incredible story, and maybe that's why they didn't want to mess with it, because it is really an incredible series, right? And that's probably why they didn't want to touch it, because they're like, oh, we don't want to mess with it, people are going to be mad. But the trade-off to that is now there's no oh wow, what there's it's just to visually see it play out is beautiful, is amazing to see, but it still isn't something that's gonna shock you if you've read. If you know what's gonna happen, you already know anyway. So it's still shocking to see, but it's not like, oh, I didn't see that coming, or I didn't see that's half the fun, is not knowing what's gonna happen next. And in this, that half, for me personally, is not there. It's still an incredible series. It's still my second favorite series on television. But for me, that's the thing that I dislike the most. In addition to that, the other thing is Game of Thrones plays itself out to be very realistic, like extremely realistic. Now, the thing is it's not a realistic world. You have magic, you have other things that are happening, you have all this different stuff. You have pyromancers and the whole bit, people coming back from the dead. All these different types of things. So to say it's realistic is kind of, it's kind of silly. It is to a degree, right? But the second you put magic in there, I don't know how realistic, and dragons, I don't know how realistic that can be. Now, the other thing I don't like about it, aside from knowing what's going to happen ahead of time, is that my favorite characters generally in the series lose. Generally, throughout the series, the characters that I like the most are either killed, slaughtered, slain, their names are tainted and they have to run away, or, anybody that I like a lot, hero-type characters often lose in the series. Maybe that's realistic. I don't know. Maybe it isn't, but that's just the fact of the matter. So those are a couple things I don't like so much about Game of Thrones. I am very excited for the premiere. Can't wait to do my reviews for it. Can't wait to see it all play out visually in real life, because me personally, I'm a visual person. That's why I started a YouTube channel, because I like to visually see things, and I believe that's the best method of people to communicate. Body language and these types of things. This is why I started a YouTube channel versus started like a written blog where I would just write reviews all the time of every series, because I'm a visual person. I like to see things visually, and I believe that most people out there are as well. The message visually, there's so many, the picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, what's a video worth? Millions or billions, right? So anyway, pretty much all I got to say for the season. Of course, the review will be posted Sunday night for the premiere of Game of Thrones Season 4, very exciting, April 6th. Check it out. If you guys have not seen the series yet and you want to stay up to date with the channel, I would recommend you torrent it or buy it or whatever you have to do. If you can't afford it, torrent it, I guess. Watch it online. Couch Tuner's got most episodes. Just be careful of adware and don't install anything if it tells you to. Yeah, this series it's intense. It's amazing. If you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. And it's definitely worthy of me doing reviews for. But predictions, I can't honestly do a prediction video and be like, and just say straight, like, this is a value. This video has value. No, it doesn't. It doesn't if we already know. It doesn't make sense for this series. I wish it did. And it'd be, I'd make 10 times as many Game of Thrones videos if that was the situation. But unfortunately, it's not. But anyway, positive side to that is that the story doesn't get touched. The original story from the books is basically exactly the same in a TV series format, and I'm sure a lot of people love that fact about it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about Game of Thrones. If you've watched the series, what your overall thoughts are on it. I don't mean to create comparisons between The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, so please don't smash The Walking Dead or whatever. A lot of people who love Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead sucks, all this stuff. It's going to happen. I know. Just do it anyway, because I know you're going to do it anyway, so go right ahead. Anyway, I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, as always, saying peace.